RIDGID dropped the Octane line and now they're going with a 3-tiered system for their tools. They're going with brushed as their main low-tier system, subcompact brushless for their mid-grade, and brushless for their high-end. This is the new RIDGID Recip saw that is going to be the king out there. We're going to put this dude through its paces. We got some surprises coming. Stay tuned. All right guys, so far we found out that Octane is dead. Kind of a bummer, right? We also found out that the new brushless drill is more of a prince than a king. That was kind of a bummer. I'm hoping we end all of that with this new recip saw. And I've got some things coming on this that are going to push us a little bit too far. So we're going to go over this tool now before it gets out into the dangerous areas. I want to show you some things compared to some of the Milwaukee stuff that's out there and just give you an idea of what's been beefed up. Come on in. The new RIDGID 18V Recip saw is model number R8647, 1.25" stroke, 3,200 strokes per minute. You can see we have a rafter hook that's here. We have our orbital mode that will turn on and off. I think having orbital is a big deal on this. We also have an adjustable shoe out front. In fact, we're going to remove that guy. And then we have our blade change mechanism. Now, what I want you to see in here is that this blade change mechanism is metal, right? And then inside here, we have plastic that's around it. So this plastic right in this area is going to push everything. You can see it right here and right here. That plastic is going to push on the metal and open and close our blade exchange. It works just fine. It's easy, right? Very similar to the Milwaukee. In fact, what we want to do is bring in, this is prior generation Milwaukee. You can see here, they have a little bit larger area around the front of the recip, and then they have plastic again that opens this up. It's a little bit harder to open up the Milwaukee than it is the RIDGID. And again, this is a generation or so back. If we move up to the latest generation Milwaukee, we have the push buttons to pull this out. You can see that Milwaukee has the same similar metal system, but they've beefed up this plastic that is around the blade exchange. This one's been through the ringer a little bit. Again, harder to move, but this plastic is more beefy. And the reason I think you're seeing some of that is that Milwaukee is seeing that that area gets hot and it's the first to go. Now, if we look at the Super Sawzall, pull this out, they simply have a turn lever out here, no plastic. So if this dude gets super hot, you wear gloves, but no plastic in there to wear out. So to me, this is a good system, right? Milwaukee has proven it through and through, but note that the plastic that is around here on the inside is not super beefy like the Milwaukee. It's up there, but it's not. So interestingly enough, the shoe does not exchange with the Milwaukee, so it's not a direct copy, which I like. RIDGID put some thought into it. They've got some of this stuff going. The forward grip changed slightly, and the one thing that I dislike about the grip, even before I get started, there's certain areas that I can just push into, and I feel like there's nothing behind it. You can see here, my finger pushes directly in. Behind it, pushes directly in. I feel like it's just a rubber boot that's covering a tool that has a lot of different pieces behind it, but it's not actually been well thought out and or padded. So it fits well. The back, again, I like the new grip back here with a little bit more aggressive knurling per se up front. The lock on and lock off switch is great. I like the feel. Maybe the front isn't exactly there. This dude's about 6 pounds. Let's get in and do some cutting. I personally believe this tool was designed for a large battery, even though the 4 amp hour max output has the outside connections. We're going big. We're just going directly to the 9 amp hour Octane. This is going to be similar to the 8 amp hour that's out there. Let's give this a roll. We're going to have Orbital off. We have the Milwaukee, which I labeled Home Wrecker blade on. Let's give it a go. Orbital's a big deal on this stuff, so let's just give it heck on that. Orbital is definitely a lot faster. Let's change up a blade, do one more cut. I've got a Bosch demo blade on now. We're going to keep it in Orbital. Let's go through some of this sticky pine. Row, and that's a 9 amp hour battery, which surprises me. I get it, there was a little bit of a jump there and maybe it caught, but guys, we're using a pretty rough blade that should have easily powered through that. One more cut, see what's happening. I totally understand. You're seeing it, I'm seeing it. When I get to the bottom, I'm getting a lot of shaking and something's happening. We're getting a cutout. Let me put my foot in here a little bit, get into it a little more. Let's see what happens. Okay, without the shaking, it went through. And I hate just to sit and continue cutting here. I'll speed it up in the camera mode, just see what happens. But I want to make sure that we're not getting continuous amount of large cutouts. Don't even have to speed that one up. So that was not something that God, this is frustrating. I'll just tell you guys, I hate to do this stuff when I get a tool and I see it not working well, especially with a large battery. All right, I can't leave this test alone. New 9 amp hour battery on here. I have a pruning blade. This is sappy pine that I got from the Home Depot. So I'm gonna keep it on Orbital. We're gonna keep our foot on this guy and just see if it can go through without cutting out. Much better, much better. Could have been something in that blade that's catching. Either way, it sucks. Nobody's going to be using the right blades all the time. Disappointed to see a few cutouts with that one blade. Moving outside for this quick cut, we're going to do a metal cut. Taking this dude off of Orbital. We're just going to see how it does quickly on here. Not bad at all, but gives me a little bit of an idea. Recip saws are used in so many different places, so many different techniques, uses. Let's get this saw dirty and see how it works. Like it or not, guys, excavators, other people, they use their tools and they use them harsh. So this is sand. Frozen sand. So, goal here, check this blade mechanism, release. Does it work? It's still working at this point. This is one of those tests to me that helps me determine a little bit of the long-term use. How's that going to hold up? Always interests me. This one's still working fine, but gives you an idea of what's going to happen in the sand. Always interesting to see what's going to happen when you drive over a tool. Good news is the Milwaukee took it just the same. This front boot is still doing quite well. Holding on, we can still move from orbital to not orbital. And our rafter hook is still here, although it's flexing just a little. Well, after that, we should clean this guy up a little bit. That ought to do it. Put our new blade in. We're going back to a pruning blade again for this 4x4 use. The blade's a little dirty. It's all right. Orbital is on. 4x4 here. Let's do it. Cake. Look at that, 2 for 2. Nice. There are a lot of great guys on YouTube who take these tools apart. I'm just not that good, but I wanted to prove that this did have, or does have, a brushless motor. So we can see that. Potted electronics, which is great. I don't remember that switch. Oh, safety switch, look at that. Everything's here is pretty good. Battery connections, there's 2. Look at that. And of course, I wanted to know what was underneath this rubber up front. 2 wires, broke them, taking it apart. It sucks. The orbital action here still kind of works. It was greased on the inside, you can see that. I lost a little bit of the gearing there. I got to get better at taking these apart. But either way, it did work, I guess. So LED light no longer works. It's just part of the gig here. Maybe we'll try to put this guy back together. So the question burning in everyone's mind, I'm sure, is what do I think of this saw, and is it RIDGID's most powerful saw? I'm not sure of that. I know we ran it with the 9 amp-hour battery, and we did get a couple cutouts here and there. And could it have been because of how the wood was vibrating around? But let me ask you this. When you're cutting a wall out or even cutting drywall or anything like that, does your material move a little bit? Might it cause some extra vibration? And if so, maybe you'll experience some of the same things that I did. And in some cases, you won't. Switch to a more aggressive blade, cut right through. But those are nuances that we're all going to find on our individual job sites. So it's always great to see what happens throughout multiple different circumstances. The sand test up in front didn't really clog any of the blade change mechanisms up, which is great. I know a lot of people wonder, why is he trying to cut sand? You know, I'm not. I'm trying to get sand pounded up inside there. It's very similar to drywall dust. It's very similar if you're an excavator cutting pipe outside. That tells you what's going to happen there, especially if you add some heat to it and that sand kind of permanently attaches to some of the plastic. Orbital mode on this, awesome. I mean, everything we put it through. You know, I love the Orbital Mode. I think almost all saws, especially recip saws, should have them. There are a couple brands that don't. It drives me a little insane. The electronics on the inside, everything worked great other than that few cutouts. So I think this is a great way of really bringing what RIDGID wants to bring up, is a little bit more compact tool, something that's going to cut, you know, out there and really do well. But here's my kicker to a lot of you guys. I can't answer a lot of those questions about how great this saw is yet, and I don't think anyone else on the internet can either, simply because we have the max output 4 amp hour battery as our largest. Until we have the max output 6 and max output 8, we don't know the true capabilities of this saw, and we can't really put it up against anything else because we don't know how many more amps something is going to draw or be able to push to give this saw more power. This 9 amp hour battery here that we used might not be able to push as many amps as the 8, and therefore this saw isn't going to perform as well. So no matter if we compare it to the Octane now, or well, maybe not now, but if we compared it whenever, it's not going to probably be what it would be winter of 2021. So it's one of those where we go, nice to see now, nice to know what's coming, nice to have it available, nice to know that, hey, if I want to, I can pick it up now, knowing that those batteries might give me a really good boost later. And until then, I'll just continue using the Octane ones that I have and get pretty good performance. When the 8 amp hour comes out, guys, there's only one way to really test it, and that's probably to throw this tool and any other large tool that RIDGID comes out with between now and then. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had fun making it. It was one of those things where I really wanted something to look forward to dive into, and not say, you know, this isn't everything. I think this tool made it through the test with flying colors. Let me know your comments below. I appreciate that. Give us a like in this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.